Courtside continues. Brian Wheeler, Casey Holdahl, joined now by one of the newest Trailblazers, and we have welcomed into town, and now he's back enjoying the rest of the summer before he checks into Portland for the season to come, which is coming up very quickly, we might add. And that's Chris Kaman. Chris, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you doing?
Terrific. I was just talking the other day to Michael Thompson, Lakers radio analyst, who I'm sure you got to know, and asked his opinion about the new additions for the Trailblazers since he had a chance to watch you and Steve up close. And he said, I tell you what, he said, if I were the Blazers, I couldn't have made two better additions than Steve Blake and Chris Kaman. So high praise from a guy that, even though he's in L.A., has always respected the Blazers and always has still had a great love for Portland. So we've had nothing but plaudits and applause for Neil O'Shea for bringing you guys on board, and so it looks like it's just going to be a great fit, and obviously you must have felt the same way deciding on the Blazers when you had other options.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had a good relationship with Neil, since the beginning of my career. He's worked for the Clippers, when I first started out there, and I even knew him before that when I was going to the draft. So, and I felt like I had a good rapport with him and Kim Hughes, so one of the coaches there in Portland, and so I felt like really comfortable with the situation, and after multiple conversation with Neil, once the period started, and Kim as well, and just trying to figure out my options. And I've struggled for the last few years trying to find a home where I fit in and where they're, successful. I just want to be a part of something that has a great opportunity to do great things. And I feel like Portland was my best choice.
Hey, Chris, what do you, at this point in your career, what do you work on in an off season? Is it just about staying in shape, or is it about adding new skills, or maybe gearing skills towards your new roster? Or is at this point, is it just?
Well, yeah, I think with Portland, I think there's going to be different roles for different players. But for me, I think there's going to be different roles too. There's going to be some stuff that's more defensive, and I think there's going to be some stuff sometimes where it's going to be more offensive. I think depending on who I play with, whether it's Robert and LaMarcus, I think there's two different fits there. I think when LaMarcus is in, I think you got to look to him to carry the team, him and Damian. So I feel like I'll have to put more of a defensive presence forward at that point. And then, with Robin, I'm sure it'll probably be a little bit more offensive. He's more of a defensive-minded player. Everybody knows that. So I feel like I can do a little bit of both. And so I feel like I fit in real well with that. So that was one of my decisions there. And then they got some young guys who I feel like I can really help and to help develop. And hopefully they get opportunities to play some games as well in some minutes. And I feel like I can help them move forward and be better. And then as well as the team, I feel like I have a lot to bring to the table still. I'm only 32 years old, and and I haven't played a lot in the last couple of years with some different coaching situations, and the opportunities haven't been there to present themselves. So I feel really comfortable and confident, going into this year. And then as far as the summers go, I feel like I just try to stay in really good shape, and and I really continue to work on shooting and post moves. But for the most part, my game is I'm where I'm at, and I can still improve on the different areas, but I don't feel like I'm going to add like a step-back jumper or something to my shot, or a three-point shot. I'm not going to add that stuff. So I just try to focus on things that I know that I've had success with over the years and try to improve on those.
You mentioned fit, and I'm sure at this stage of your career, that's a very important element. I think people assume, basketball is basketball wherever it's played in the NBA, but clearly the last 2 years you've had career low averages in minutes played, and even though your talents are the same as they've been and maybe even better as you've refined them over the years, for whatever reason in Dallas and especially last year with the Lakers, I mean, you'd go through certain situations where maybe one game you play 30 minutes and you might not play for 3 or 4. I mean, it had to be very difficult to figure out, any kind of rhythm or continuity with what you're trying to do.
I think every guy is different. I think each person battles their situations differently and has different opportunities and different issues that come up. But I know for myself in the past, it's hard to get into the rhythm, like you said, and to stay in a rhythm when you'll go 5 games not playing, and then something will happen to your starter, and you'll just, oh, hey, you're starting tonight. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you got to play 30 minutes, or 35 minutes, and then you play a couple games in a row, then your starter comes back and you're back down to the bench again. It's a weird rotation. And then playing half the season, in Dallas playing half the season, and then the second half not playing much. It's hard to get a gauge on what they want you to do sometimes. And I think, and it's not a knock on anybody, I just think sometimes coaches have different opinions in their heads of different players. And I know, having watched a lot of different players in the league who I know are skilled and talented players, and I'm watching them sit on benches in different teams, once you've experienced all the different opportunities, you realize more and more that it's just the uniqueness of each coach has different mentalities and different thought processes going into developing his team and the character of his players. And so I think that he just plays the guys he knows he feels comfortable with, and then the guys that maybe he doesn't, and he rolls out with that. And that's kind of what happened to me last year. And with Mike D'Antoni, he had a system that he liked, and I didn't fit into the system with the guys we had on the roster. I was a second-tier guy on his roster. So as a result, obviously it was frustrating, but it's at the same time important to be professional, and that's what I tried to do last year.
Absolutely.
Very difficult situation.
You had talked about helping the younger players, Chris. I noticed that you had posted a photo with Myers Leonard and Kim Hughes working out last week. How did that turn about?
I've been it's funny. I've been talking. I've been friends with Kim since he was my first year. He was a coach, so just like Myers has worked with Kim and developed his game, that's the same way for me, but with 7 years instead of 2. So I have had a great relationship with Kim. In the lockout season, he came to Michigan where I live and helped me work out, and he's just been a really strong supporter of mine, and he's been really great, graciously able to help me out. And so I called him and I said, hey, why don't you bring Myers? Because I know Myers has got a lot of potential, and athletically, he's probably one of the top bigs athletically in the league, and I think he has a great opportunity ahead of himself, in the years to come. So I said, why don't you bring Myers and let's see what we got. And so we worked out for a week, and I'm really impressed with what Myers has and what he brings to the table.
So here's the big question. Have you seen the Paul George injury?
Yeah, man. That's way off topic, but yeah, I've seen it.
It's leading into something else, but did you see it live or did you see it after the fact?
No, I didn't see it live. I was actually working outside, but I didn't see it live. And actually, I went to a wedding this past weekend in North Carolina for one of my teammates, Ryan Kelly, from last year from the Lakers. And anyway, so my brother had texted me. I was like, what the heck is going on? I kept seeing all these things, little tidbits in the restaurants and the bars, like, Paul George, this. And I didn't really pay attention to it. And then my brother texted me like 3 days later, did you see the Paul George's leg? I was like, no, what happened? So he sent me the link, and I was like, oh, man. Oh. It reminded me of one of my former teammates, Sean Livingston, who kind of did that to his knee, which was unbelievable. And I'm completely impressed that Sean's been able to make the complete turnaround as well. But, man, that's tough.
So here's the question. For whatever reason, it gave Mark Cuban, who's been outspoken about NBA athletes playing in international competition, gave him a chance to have some ammunition to say, well, see, this is why it shouldn't happen. Now, you played for Germany in the Olympics. I mean, do you think this is anything to talk about with regard to that subject? Is it overreaction to say this one injury will cause that?
Sean Livingston's knee. Should he not? I mean, I don't know. Mark I played for him 2 years ago, and he's a really outspoken guy. Everybody knows that, and he's got his interesting points and his angles, and he kind of just he likes to just say a lot of different things. I think sometimes just to spark it up, to get the fire going a little bit, and then to see how people react. I think he almost does it on purpose to have fun with it, But I think you can get hurt anytime. I mean, guys that land on their heads. There's guys broken their feet, broken their legs. Tore their knee. Everything happens. It's sports, football, basketball, baseball, soccer. There's all kinds of bad things can happen. You just try to minimize that stuff. One thing I think from that situation they could take home is just the fact of having the hoops a little bit farther away, the stanchion a little bit farther away from the court. In that situation, it was probably a little too close. That was probably a big thing that they're probably, in hindsight, going to redo a lot of the arenas now. But I think you can get hurt playing the season and the off season. I think he was doing the right thing, playing for his country and trying to do the right thing. I don't think there's anything wrong with what he did, but it just happened to be, a bad situation. It sucks. I mean, he's a great player, and I think he can bounce back from it. Just take him some time now.
Yeah, I mean, if a guy wants to play for his country, it's hard to tell him he can't do that, even if he's.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Cuban can say what he wants, but you can look at a guy like Dirk. Look at his track record. The guy won a championship. He's won an MVP. He plays for his country every summer. And every year he plays, 80-plus games in the season. So there's no it's not, what can you say about it? Dirk is one of the healthiest players in the league and continues to, he had a knee surgery a couple years ago, but continues to work hard and still a very, very successful basketball player. And, I don't know why. I think Mark is always in Dirk's ear, like, don't do it. But every time he does it, he gets better and better.
You're a guy who obviously has pursuits outside of basketball, Chris. What does the summertime for Chris Kaman look like outside of the gym?
Well, this summer was busy for me. Me and my wife, we built a house back home in Michigan, so it's just been kind of like trying to keep up with all that landscaping, and it's on a lake, trying to get the sand and the beach and all this, everything, the stairs down the hill. It's kind of up on a hill, so there's a lot of different things doing there. And then I try to get time to stay outside, and my wife's also pregnant with a boy, so we're trying to like stay on top of that stuff, and there's just a lot going on. And this summer was pretty busy for me, but usually I'm just like, outside a lot, working, whatever, walking my dogs, hunting, fishing, whatever I get time to do.
So what does the timetable look like in terms of when you're going to come to town? I know there's always an effort to get guys back early before camp for some
I'll
great
be back
pickup
way
games
before
and so
camp.
forth.
I like to get to the situation. I like to get back there early and get into a rhythm. I'll probably be back there sometime towards the end of August, beginning of September. So I want to get back and start playing a little bit with the guys and get a feel, before the season actually starts.
So before we let you go, since we know you are a dual citizen, U.S. and Germany, could we get you?
My dog has German citizenship. So
there you go. So it runs in the family, obviously. So
I got a German Shepherd. Yeah.
Can we get something in German? Can you just say, "I'm happy to be a member of the Trailblazers" in German?
Here we go.
Oh wow! Really? Are you serious?
Yeah, something like that. I
could probably do it in Spanish before I can do it in German.
Spanish? Okay, go ahead. Spanish. We'll take Spanish.
The German language test was a doozy.
Whatever you're comfortable in. How's that?
No, I just probably know all the bad words in German. So
can you get your German Shepherd on the phone?
You wouldn't want me to say it in any language.
I got you.
Get the dog in here.
Well, we're happy that you're a member of the Trailblazers. I know you are too. So that's the important stuff. So,
I appreciate you guys having me on, taking the time.
Hey, our pleasure. So enjoy the rest of the summer, and we'll see you when you get here to Portland in a few weeks.
We will. We'll see you soon, and be on the lookout. I might come around the corner one of these days. You won't even know it.
All right, we appreciate that. Thank you, Chris.
All right, guys.
Chris Kaman, one of the newest Trailblazers. Good perspective on the pros and international competition, and some good insight into Mark Cuban as a guy that knows a little bit about Mark Cuban.
Diplomatic in his own way.
Yeah, very much, but I think we got the gist.